What's good? Hidden Hands.
Yes,
it's your
sir.
boy Cruz. I got my man Trav with me. We back, baby. We back.
Yes, sir.
What we doing? What we talking about, man?
A little bit of everything on this
A
one, man.
little bit of everything. I want to get into something that's been really bothering me. I've been talking to my producers about is a lot of producers being lazy out here, bro. Like the quality of music, you know, I feel like the state that it's in, the state that music is in, a lot of the laziness. People, I feel like, are focusing more on volume.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to brag about this placement. I want to put some, you know, it's cool. Put some points on the board. Let's rack up placements. But what's the quality level though? Like, what are we focusing on? You know what I'm saying?
Let's talk about it, man. What's some of the lazy stuff you like?
So what I'm getting at, like some of the stuff that I have coaching opportunities with some of my guys is like, if we're building something, right? Like I'm building something internally. I have a squad. Everybody has specialties.
Yeah.
Why are we not tapped in? Why are we reaching out to random people? You know what I'm saying? Like, and bringing them into our mix and basically from, you know, and this is just me from the business guy, right? Like, why are we not tapping in and creating a sound together instead of bringing in all these random folks?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Doing stuff that you could do yourself.
Yeah.
For one, it fucks up the business. You know, it gets really tricky, like when it comes to clearing samples or clearing whatever, figuring out the splits, figuring out the money, you know what I mean? Why not break bread with your crew?
Yeah.
Instead of like, yo, I'm gonna call this random kid, whatever the case. And my guys know what it is. I've talked to them about this all the time. Focus on your internal team. Let's build this together. Let's create this sound. Let's be the new, you know, whatever it is, right?
But you keep saying create a sound. Do you feel like people or producers and nowadays care to create a sound? Because
I don't think people are really even focused on the art of music right now. You know what I'm saying? Like some of the complaints and some of the things that people talk about and like seasoned artists or even newer artists that have old soul, it's very hard to capture the texture of some of the classic records. Like I'll listen to Gold School on Spotify before I listen to Rap Caviar. You know what I'm saying? And like I try to play both worlds, and I don't want to sound dated because I saw Taz Taylor, who I respect, Internet Money a lot. I love what they built, and I understand he had a gripe about, there was this whole discourse about like, yo, the old guard, you guys are hating on these kids up and coming, which I do agree.
Yeah, somewhat.
They're quick to hate.
A lot of hate.
A lot of
engineering,
hate. And I don't
producing,
think it's fair. Yes.
Writing.
Yes. I don't think that's fair.
All of that.
I don't think that's fair. What I'm talking about is overall quality of music, bro. Like, you know, Taz is talking about the young guard. He's developing his talent with his squad. They're creating, they created the what we know as, you know, the artist Tekka. Like they developed that sound as a team, as a squad, right? Like they built that, you know what I mean? And they should, you know, I tip my hat to them for that. You know, like all these hit records that they've been a part of, like they were very intentional with the sound, with putting a certain level of quality or creating a wave, right? That people now will just tag along and follow. And now become like a type beat type sound. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's not get lazy out here, bro. Like a lot of my producers out here, I want you guys to challenge yourselves because there's a fine line of networking and just falling into a pattern of just being lazy, bro. Like if you're creating a records, right? And I give you your grace of like, yo, I'm in, you know, day in and day out, I'm in my crib or I'm in the studio and I'm making however many beats a day. You know, I need some creative energy sometimes. I need some collaborative energy. I'm big advocate for collaboration. But if it's adding to the end goal, not just being lazy, like, yo, I'm going to go on Splice. I'm not even going to try. I'm going to just go straight to Splice.
Yeah. Well, that's what they do. Bro, I was in a session one time and I said, hey, bro, you want to collab? It was a producer coming up.
Yeah.
I said, man, we could just collab. And and I put out my laptop thinking we finna work on our track together.
Yeah.
But he said, give me some of your beats.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you some of mine.
Yeah.
And if I place it, I'll say we did it together. And if you place it, we say that's like That's a component. They're doing that.
That's what I'm trying to
tell you.
You know
what I mean? Like, these young guys, they're doing that, bro. This shit
is lazy as hell, bro. It's lazy.
Like for me, one of the things I kept, I'm in the process of doing a publishing deal.
Yeah.
So I'm always on the road, recording and mixing, so I don't have time to produce all the time.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, okay, well, if I have the avenue to produce these records and get them placed, let me find a couple producers to do what I do. And of the producers I found, none of them had the mindset to say, hey, I'm pushing the sound of music forward.
Right. No,
I am going to be against the grain for a while, and people are going to say that this sound sounds weird or this sound sounds fucked up or it sounds until it becomes the style.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's what basically what we're referring to is like, you're referring to our era and the eras of music where people would hit you to where their music goes from a peculiar taste to the popular sound.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then in that you have created a sound.
Yeah.
A lot of these people don't give a fuck about that shit. Like a lot of these young producers,
I think it's a lot.
They be trying to make 1,000 beats in one day.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And to me, I'm kind of confused. I'd be like, how is that fun?
It's like a volume game. And then what the other part of it is, like I said, in the era of social media is more of like a popularity contest. Like producers will sacrifice being properly compensated, properly taken care of in exchange for a look. So like you would be cool with getting jerked around in exchange for like, I can post that I did this record with this person. Well, what long term, what is your goal? What's your end goal in this? You know what I mean? Like what are you taking away from this?
And this is my overall biggest problem with producers, bro. I swear to God, this is the one thing that I cannot understand is there's no togetherness in making money, in being producers. The people before were like you said, like they were, so when it comes down to like you're saying, like taking that look, that when you take that look, you're fucking us. You're fucking everybody. Because now they expect for people to take payment off of the look and off of these low price. It'd be mind blowing to me or how it's just, I ain't gonna lie, the producing game to me, bro, it's in the dumps.
It's in a bad place. It's in a bad place.
It's hard for me to say, hey, you're coming up and you enjoy making beats, be a producer and chase making beats that way. Like, it makes no sense to me. I don't see it going
Here's
anywhere.
A big problem, right? A lot of these producers work from a place of desperation. If you have to take on a job while you're hustling, doing your thing until you really get on and get your groove, you shouldn't be working from a place of desperation, meaning like,
I'll take anything to get me out of this position.
Yeah, like, I mean, because
that's not, I don't have to go to work.
That's not a good hustle, bro. It's not a smart hustle.
No, because overall, what's happening is, from what I've seen is, I see, there are producers who have placements, and it's such a small, minute piece of the song that they're not in position after a big placement with a major artist.
Yeah.
That is mind-blowing to me. Because if I do a major artist next single, I'm getting in position next time. Like I should be in position for the things that come after me, the things that's about to get pushed from what y'all want, and I should be in position with that artist to do something that's gonna, like, you know what I'm saying, that's gonna set me up further.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, this producing shit is the weirdest thing to me, because I still produce from an old school standpoint. So I may look at it from a standpoint of, hey, like, let's say Rod finds a beat. Okay, cool. He records the song to it. Cool. But now, after that, I may break down to the stems and then say, hey, it needs a piano here. It needs keys here. We should put a choir at this part. Or we should take this and move this around. That violin part that your boy does, he's good at playing violin. Let's put him here. You see what I'm saying? So then I'll do that and build the record up. And then that record will get me a placement. It'll get me residuals, points, everything, and I came in as an engineer.
Yeah, so that's
you know so
I was actually you jumping right into a topic I want to talk about.
Yeah, I think it all ties in.
So Terrace Martin brought up a point, and I literally just had it pulled up, and he's like, "Damn, engineers want publishing and producer credit. Am I late to the party? Can someone help me understand this?" And Punch piggybacked and said, "This is a good topic to discuss." what's the difference between the producer, the beat maker, writer, engineer,
in today's
musician,
game,
etc. And what makes you the producer of a record?
What makes you the producer? That's the biggest question. What makes you the producer of the record? Because I will be in the street and there will be people who would say, hey, we work together. And I say, what? On what? And they'll name a song that they did like a little piece of.
Yeah.
The fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like that should not satisfy you.
But nah, I ain't gonna lie.
Like, I'm bro, like, that shit is fugazi, man.
I get it. It's a different time. Like,
bro, if you make a loop and send it to a kid in Istanbul, and the kid in Istanbul sends it to a kid in New York, and the kid in New York gets his homeboy to do drums on it.
The new game,
and then
bro.
They send this to Rod, and then Rod records a song with me, and we sit there and put the song together.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm more of a producer than the guy who created the sample, the guy who did the little drums, the guy who did this. I feel like the engineer who sat there and came. Now, if all I did was record the song, and he comes in, he wrote the song, and I recorded it straight down, then no,
it's cool.
You're not a producer, bro. You engineered that song.
Yeah.
But if you are about to reconstruct this song,
we're different. Like my Miami folks say, like we're a different theory. Like we're way more. Like if we had that argument, nobody could say anything. Because first of all, you might only be on this album because of me.
And then there's that.
Right.
There's
but hold on. We might be on this album because of me, and I'm gonna produce the shit out of this record. I might add a choir to your joint. I might pay out of pocket for certain aspects.
That's another thing. I might pay out of pocket for the studio time to go put background singers and recreate these parts.
And I mean, I ain't gonna lie. A lot of people, what I've noticed, a lot of people will give you that grace of being like, yo, I understand who you are, what you are to the situation or whatever.
And we're gonna
doesn't happen a lot. Or as much as that should.
Yeah.
And I ain't gonna lie, I should have went to bat for myself a lot more
in getting,
but because of the way that I was structured and the way I was approaching the work, it was like, yo, I'm doing this for the greater good. I want the project to be received the way it needs to be. I'm gonna be in the trenches with the writers, with the producers, and I wasn't really thinking from
and I'm literally on some
real
producing.
Like hands-on,
hands-on.
Shit.
You're producing. It's no different than if you watch the documentary about that. Heal the World song. You remember the Heal the World?
Oh, hell yeah.
Did you see the documentary?
Of course.
Yeah, so did you see how Quincy was producing that? Quincy never touched anything. He was literally producing from his
the song
ears.
Came out the way it did.
He was using his ears and he was putting it together. You get what I'm saying?
You got to think. He was in a room of all the top artists of that time.
Top
controlling that room, getting that record cut, helping with arrangement, helping with who goes where, organizing that record.
And
absolutely. So he was a producer on that record.
He's one of the top revered producers, right?
Yeah.
But then you got a guy,
he's a legend.
But then you got a guy now who never saw the vision for a song,
right? That just made a violin loop.
That just made a violin loop
or a piano.
Sent it to.
That's what I'm. But see, now you're literally preaching to the choir.
You get
that's what I'm talking about in the laziness aspect, and I understand the culture of production. I'm very much in the trenches with y'all. I'm not dogging y'all on the hustle. I'm just saying, step your game up, bro. Like challenge yourself more. You know what I mean? Like learn all these different aspects, because there's a difference of being lazy and like doing it for a greater purpose and networking and things like that. I've been around and come up around a lot of producers. A lot of shit slipped through my hands that ended up becoming something amazing, but they did it for a reason. There was no way they were not going to become great producers, right? They are household names in this game, and it doesn't come from them doing half-assed work. They really put work in, developing a sound, understanding when you tap in with this dude, there's a level of quality that you're going to receive. You're not going to have to question like, yo, okay, so you're saying you did the loop. Are there 50 other people on the loop with you? You know what I'm saying? That doesn't sound anywhere near complex as some of the hits that we talk about, the textures and things like that.
Is doing the loop more important than, or is doing the loop any different than in 1965 when Barry Gordy was bringing a guitar player in and told him, hey, we need a guitar part.
Yeah. But see, that's where
that's
I'm at.
That's a work for hire position.
Yeah.
And now you become a royalty position.
But see, now, but listen, what's that where I don't fall into that trap? I'm going to be honest with you because I agree, but I don't fall into it because I don't want to be that guy, man. I do understand there is a system now. It's different. We just had a kid from Russia as a co-producer on the Polo G single. Right?
Yeah.
Since some elements that my guy could have easily done himself.
Yeah.
Now we have to bust it down with this kid. Yeah. All good. We figured it out. You know, agree to disagree, whatever the case.
But see,
that's the culture now.
Bro. But see,
I'm not saying.
But we want to say back in the day, there were tons of guys. That helped with these records.
Yeah.
They didn't make them a producer.
Yeah.
Once the song was huge.
But that's the thing is that a lot of
they got paid and they got compensated. But they went and started a mail company or a like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's plenty of guys we know who,
those
people, man, I added to this drum production.
Those people
I'm not a producer.
Quincy wrote Quincy wrote The Wiz in a hotel room, bro. Before he heard the music, he wrote the score. It's a whole other conversation. When he had the guitar guy come, the violin section, the choir, they were singing his music that he wrote. He's a musical genius. Then sets up the session, puts all the pieces in place, gets the vocals, gets the instrumentation. He wrote the fucking music.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying for the producers. I understand, all right, because nowadays, you know, being devil's advocate, that kid from Russia or a kid from wherever will send you a loop of an original idea.
Yeah.
Back then, what we're talking about is they were playing what you told them to play because you wrote the music.
But there is a gray area there of what they told them to play, and those musicians weren't robots. They still, if Quincy asked for this and that,
add a little extra little vibe.
Yeah, hey, you mind if I do this? You mind if I bend this note right here? I think it'll be better if I bend this note, and then they come in and we do this.
Yeah, but it
doesn't make like.
But you're only adding to you're adding to my point, because you know what? That's what I'm saying. Why are y'all being so lazy? Even to the loop makers, even to whatever, like, you know what I'm saying?
This is my thing. See, I don't want to be the old guy griping.
Yeah.
But I'm just gonna be honest, bro. I think it's a layered problem. And I think when I dig through it and I sift through it, I say to myself, if you're a producer, what is your goal? This is what I think the goal should be. Is that the music that I make is so dope that the consumers of the world want to hear it, and I can make money off of this music.
Yeah.
But now it feels like there's so many technicalities to where the kid who sits down and opens up his laptop, he's not trying to make music for the world to love. It seems to me as he's making a loop for another kid to like.
Nah, I'm with
and
you.
then him to use.
Yeah.
And hopefully he could put it in a beat, and then maybe a rapper may like this beat.
See, that's where I'm
when
at.
The producer should be thinking, I'm producing this for the world from the guitar loop.
This is where I'm at. I'm with you. I'm not saying you're saying nothing wrong. I'm with you. What I'm saying is, do you want to be Roger, who did Sicko Mode, the identifying line of Sicko Mode, the bam, bam, bam. You want to be that guy? Or do you want to be the guy that gets washed out in the same violin, halftime, step down, random sound?
But there's another guy. Or do you want to be the guy who creates a sound that is so fire that anybody who copies you from the time on through the rest of your career is literally your shitling?
That's what I'm saying.
And they will never get paid the amount of money that you get paid to do it.
Yeah.
But they will get paid. But they'll always only get a small portion of what they will pay you to do it, because they really want you to do it.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
And I think producers lost sight of it. I think in the game of production, in the music game in general, I think it has moved to a space to where not every single person is creating music for the masses, and within creating music for the masses. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a guy who's like, hey, I'm making. guitar loops he's not thinking, hey, I'm making
They're
guitar
not
loops
even
for hit
passionate
records.
about it. There's no passion even behind it. Yeah,
Exactly.
No,
He's like,
and that's what
it's
I'm
another
on.
guitar loop. Oh,
Listen,
so we'll do
I'm gonna tell you like
4/4
this.
guitar loops today in the key of G.
Right, but this is
G
what I'm
major
saying.
guitar
This is
loops
what I'm
all
gonna say.
day.
Right.
The
I
fuck?
respect your hustle. I
This is
respect.
whack.
I'm
Creates whack
in the
music.
trenches. I'm in the trenches.
You know what I mean? But
I
I feel like
respect
that
the
whack
hustle.
mentality
Yeah.
has created where we're at, and it's a whack. Just you get what I'm saying?
But the shit that cuts through is always gonna cut through. Do you want to be confused with the shit that gets played for a day, 2 days, and is gone just that fast? There's 100,000 songs uploaded every day, bro.
Okay, but if you're Usher right now, who do you go to make an album?
He went back to all his OGs for the most part. Huh?
It sucked.
Well, he went.
No,
I mean, you talking about
because they did the same thing
yeah
that they've been doing because there's no new producers. You see what I'm saying? But if it was Usher, if it was Usher from back in the day and you're a #1 artist, you go get the best of the new who can push your sound forward. That don't exist.
Yeah.
So if you're Usher now, who do you go? You go to Jermaine. You go back to Tricky. You go back to all the people that you already had hits with who ain't in the streets.
There's people I could have heard him with.
You get what I'm saying?
There's people I could have heard him with.
So
but
it's like there should be a young guy who's the next Jermaine, who's working with Jermaine, who's helping Usher get the next fire, who's making the next Usher. So when Usher drops, now we got the next Usher coming after, and then we like Usher. He's like Marvin Gaye, and then we got the new Usher. But we don't. We have the same music for years upon years upon years, bro.
I know people he could have tapped in with, but he definitely it did feel like a comfortable.
But it's what can he do?
Vibe,
if you're Usher, what move can you make?
But
can you go
on a whole, by the way,
if you're Usher,
listen, by the way,
huh?
He killed that shit because listen.
What, the performance or him?
Everything.
The Super Bowl?
But listen,
the
bro,
album? No.
They announced, hold on. They announced, yo, Usher's doing the Super Bowl. What they do? Album coming soon. Lead up to the joint. You couldn't stop talking about this man.
And that's my point exactly. Is if you do everything right,
then
what did you do wrong? If you do everything right leading up to your album and it don't go, and it goes the way Usher.
It went #1.
No, it didn't. On what charts? The R&B.
I mean, go look it up.
Specific.
Google it.
It ain't go. It ain't go #1 on the Usher charts. On the charts that Usher's used to, he did not touch #1. And I think he debuted at #3 that week because Kanye and Vultures came out that week. But what I'm saying is, the thing about it was that was so trippy is he did everything absolutely correct. Usher did nothing wrong. Usher did nothing wrong. There just wasn't no producers that Usher can go in the studio with right now and say, hey, make me that new shit, but make it Usher. Right. You know what the new producers are going to do for Usher now? Yeah. They're going to give him 100,000 beats and confuse the fuck out of him. Look, and he's going to be like, okay, well, look. I got 50, 60 beats. How can we do this? You know what I mean?
Usher's Coming Home debuts at #1.
On the R&B charts, right?
Top album sales chart. I don't know what
chart is that.
I don't know.
Thank you. That's a recreated chart. The only chart that matters is the hot bill, the chart we've been looking at growing up.
This is what I'm getting at. I didn't listen to the album straight through. See,
and you're not wrong for listening to the album.
Hold on.
Okay,
listen, what I'm saying. I didn't listen to it straight through. What I'm telling you from a business mind perspective and a legacy artist perspective, I don't think Usher give a fuck about anything we're talking about. But hold on. Listen, hold on.
Okay.
He executed that shit perfectly to me. Musically, I didn't hear the whole shit. I didn't hear the whole shit.
Artist. To me, this is what I'm saying. If you're a #1 artist, and you go to the right producers, which was your old school guys, you have an album that comes out around Super Bowl time. Yeah. You've been at a residency for the past 2 years and been making headlines at this residency monthly, weekly, however. And then you perform at the Super Bowl, the most watched thing, and then your album comes out and it debuts at #3 versus a guy who was blackballed and going off steer fanship.
You can't fuck with Ye, though. I ain't gonna lie.
Listen.
Yeah.
Usher should be able to fuck with Ye. It's the producers within Usher's genre that are letting him down. That's all. That's the only thing I'm seeing is that the producers are not moving the music forward. So when Usher comes and he says, "Hey, I'm gonna drop a new album," who can he go to? He goes to the older guys. There should have been a new guys and it should have been a mashup between the older guys and the young guys. But now Usher has this older album, and it doesn't resonate with the younger people. It's because those producers are not available to him. Like
I
they're
feel like
available, but he doesn't. Who is on the level to come in and say, "Hey, I'm gonna do the new Usher Hit Boy"? No, we only have that for rap.
Yeah, he tapped in with a couple people, but the thing is, if Usher aside, right? Production quality nowadays, it's in the dumps, bro.
It's in the dumps.
There's moments, and I know I'm not tripping. Like I have a pretty good ear. When I'm listening and I'm going through like these playlists, there's just certain things that just stand out, bro. And it's like when you go through the credits, it's normally some of the same people that are involved. You know what I'm saying?
The younger guys or the older guys? I feel like what's happening is I feel like the younger guys are sending their beats in, but I don't feel like the younger guys. I don't feel like these older guys are really saying it's your culture. So I'm gonna let you lead, and then we're gonna, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like the younger guys can hear that in the music, so it becomes unappealing. Like for me, I don't listen to NBA YoungBoy.
Yeah,
but there is a huge group of people who understand and they're in that realm.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is there should be a producer who is just as big as NBA YoungBoy who came out in that realm, and now instead of them only producing for NBA YoungBoy, they have a run and take over.
Some youngins
but they
out
seem
here
like they're not shooting for that.
Yeah, it's some youngins out here. I just think that the game is extremely oversaturated.
So do you think producer runs
Reggie.
is dead? Do you think a producer can still have a run how we're used to producers having runs growing up?
I think there are. But I think the problem is not a lot of competition to these guys. Like Turbo's not gonna have no problems. Metro, ATL Jacob, Tay Keith, these guys, Murder Beats, they're gonna always cut through for the most part because it's just oversaturated with a lot of Reggie, the game. You know what I mean?
So is there a super producer in the game right now?
There's a super producer in the game.
Who's the super producer?
Super producer right now?
Yes. Who's the top super? Like the super producers we know? Because I just read something online where it said
there's no super producer.
You put super producer in. No, it was just talking about all these guys putting super producer in their bio, and then they have no placements. And then I started wondering. And then I started.
That's a whole other
comment. Then it took me to: does a super producer still exist in this era?
I think so.
I don't think so.
I think there is super producers. I think, but the problem I think overall, bro, is just oversaturated, bro. You can literally, bro. I'm gonna tell you like this: there's a real culture right now of YouTube beats, and there's nothing wrong with YouTube beat producers. Nothing wrong with that. Rod is a YouTube beat fan. Meek, a lot of guys, YouTube beat fans. The problem comes in where there's sessions that are curated, that are set up, where the artist will immediately go to YouTube in front of producers in the room because it's so.
But I think that's the producer's fault.
That's what I'm telling you.
I think that's the producer's fault. But I don't think that's the computer's.
That's what I'm getting at. Okay, that's what I'm getting at. It's like they gotta step this shit up, bro.
But
like
it's not
challenge
just giving them
more.
the beat.
Yeah, the swag. Yeah, the swag.
But this is what I'm saying. If you sit down and make a track, you should see where the record is going.
Yeah,
to a degree, right?
Yeah.
I would assume like if I'm sitting down and because then that's gonna help me, because then that's how you come up with records. That like there's records that like don't have any drums ever, right?
Yeah.
So if you're the guy who's like, I always start my beats with my drums.
Yeah.
Then how do you make a record like Untold Stories for Buju Banton? You'll never be that kind of producer who has a generational record with a record that has no drums. Because every time you sit down, you're not thinking about records. You're thinking about, I start with my drums first. How do you start? It's the, come on, bro. Producer culture is so weird now,
it's
bro.
very weird. But there is light. There's moments that happen where there's moments that happen. Like there's a record. What's the new Don Toliver record? I love that fucking record. And there's only one producer credited. I don't know if that's correct, but there's only one guy.
It sounds like it.
And it's fire.
It sounds like they saw a vision for the record.
That's just fire.
And they made a record, bro.
Can we look it up? What's the Don Toliver record? Bandit is my shit. That shit's crazy. Tizo Touchdown, one of my favorite artists
right now.
Definitely favorite artist.
It's the complexity
level
of his production.
Yeah, that production level.
He produces a record to where it's like, hey, okay, we hear this at this part, and we may not ever hear that sound ever come back again.
Do you think it's all on the producer, or you think artists lack vision nowadays? Because I want to get to that too.
I think artists have always lacked vision. I think the role of the artist has been the same.
Yeah.
Arrogance. It's us.
I don't know, man.
Because it's hard to be an artist.
It's hard.
Okay, one day you're sitting in your room and you say, hey, I'm about to write a record that the world's gonna love. I'm gonna make music. It comes with ego. You gotta feel your ego. I feel like as an artist, I gotta feel my ego. I gotta feel my ego because you gotta believe it first. So now I'm writing these records and everybody's gonna love it. It's gonna be the biggest music in the world. You gotta say it first. So I feel like there has to be an ego area there. But I feel like the artist's job is not in development. You know what I'm saying? I feel like their job is not to help build the house.
But here's what I'm at. Here's where I'm at.
Have the materials, and then the producer comes and says, "Hey, this type of house we could build."
But hold on now, because the same issue I'm having with producers not having that passion, that drive, understanding the art of it, being more business oriented. A lot of new artists are, where's the bag at? Where's the bag at? So they lack vision. They lack, like, Kanye came in the game.
But you saw how to me.
But wait a second. Let me get to other examples of this, right? Kanye's one, of course, came in as a producer, but always had the artist vision. Was a visionary in general. There's there's plenty of examples of producers that were legendary producers that there's no way in hell they would get anywhere near Kanye level.
Okay, do you think? This is what I'm saying. Do you think? And what's the way I could say this? Okay, I'm gonna say this. Do you think that so we take all the positions in the music industry, right? Do you think that everybody who is that position is really that at heart?
Who? In
general.
Where?
So let's say you, for example, are you an engineer at heart, in your opinion?
Engineer at heart? Yeah. I mean,
no, I don't think so.
Yeah. I mean,
you have characteristics and capabilities and things that are very responsible, which isn't typical of the creatives. You follow through. You carry yourself as an engineer, but you've always carried yourself as an executive. You've always followed up as an executive, communicated as an executive. But there are artists who don't. You know what I'm saying? There are artists who communicate as artists. There are engineers who communicate as engineers. So when I think it is I don't think that every producer is a producer. I don't think every engineer is an engineer. I don't think every songwriter is a songwriter right now. And I don't think every artist is an artist. And I think right now we kind of have an area where a lot of it's blurred, right? Yeah. So you have a person like Money Long, who's a songwriter at heart, but she's an artist because who writes better songs than a songwriter? You see what I'm saying? So it takes you.
That doesn't translate all the time, though.
So it takes you as an engineer.
That don't translate all the time.
You ain't going to sit there and be the super duper mixed technical this, but you've always had a great engineering career.
I understand your
because
question
you've been
now,
able to navigate.
Yeah, no, I get it now.
So once you hit that area, once you say, oh, put me in a executive position, I'm going to excel. You put me over here, I'm going to excel.
For sure.
You take this engineer and you put them in a producer position, they're going to excel. And I think that's kind of what's fucking up the producers. Yeah. Is that a lot of these guys ain't got no position in the music industry. They're not nothing but a technical kid who sits on the computer. But then they make a loop that now becomes used on a hit record by an actual producer. And then we're back at the
But I do think I think there's a lot of examples of visionary artists though that separate from the ones that's just in it for the bag. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, Tizo's one of them. I've been around him and he's very, very tapped in with his aesthetic, with what his intentions are as an artist. Yeah. A lot of artists don't have that, bro. No. And that's critical because now you could come in the room.
But he could be a producer as well as being an artist. Like Kanye West is not an artist. Kanye West is an amazing artist because he's a producer first. So all he has to do is produce himself, which he has total freedom. Because now I don't have to deal with a person's ego because every artist would know what they want. They want what they want. So now you have to convince them. If like Usher, they always say Usher hated the song, Yeah. It's his biggest song. So it's like Jermaine Dupri has to convince him to do Yeah. Okay, cool. But if you're the artist and the producer, who's got to convince you of what? Like whatever you creatively push out, you're going to, you know what I mean? So that's where you get the T-Pains who are unfuckwittable and the Kanyes who are unfuckwittable. Like they're kind of in the same lanes to me. You know what I'm saying? But and then you got straight core rappers, core producers. You know what I mean? Like Polo the Don is a producer. He's never gonna come out as an artist. Tricky Stewart's a producer. But then you got Pharrell, who's a producer, but he also is gonna be an artist at some point in his career. You know what I'm saying? You got me, who I'm an engineer. I've recorded and tracking, but I get publishing checks for my production when you know what I mean? Quarterly. Because my core is production, but I've been able to use it to be good at engineering. But when I get along with artists, they get along with me on a level of a producer, not an engineer. You know what I mean? Like one time I was on a boat with in Miami with Drewski, his boys, and one of his boys was like, "Yeah, you don't act like an engineer."
Yeah, that's a real thing.
And I was like, "Well, okay," you know what I mean? But in my mind, I'm knowing that you're speaking on the fact that a lot of engineers have bad social skills.
Yeah,
they have, you know what I mean? They're quirky. They can't usually
but
escalate in certain areas. So when you see somebody cross over, it kind of is, you know what I mean? It gets a little. But I feel like it's like that with producing.
What I'm trying to get at is like I do want to have some accountability for the artist because, you know, if you don't know what you're aiming for sonically, if you don't know what your vision is for a project, like there is some accountability on your part, right?
I can agree. You understand
what I'm saying?
That's if you don't accept that you don't know that. There's some artists who they don't know that, but they'll never accept it. They'll send you in a different direction, and then the next week it'll be a whole different, and then next week it's a different day. Like, bro, you don't know what you want yours to sound like.
I love when I love when an artist is receptive. Like, yo, let's try some shit. You know what I mean? Like, trust people to do their particular job. Like, you know, let your A&R work if they're a real A&R. That's a whole other episode.
Come on.
You know,
it's all blurred.
Listen, hold on. So then, you know, let your producers come in and the ones that really know how to produce, let them come in and produce. Be receptive to some help on the songwriting tip. You might not got it together, bro. You might need a little help with songwriting, and that's cool. I think we've kind of dispelled that whole thing.
The songwriting area.
The whole songwriting thing. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, not saying that they have to write the entire record, but it helps elevate a song when you bring in a London J, when you bring in Anisha, when you bring in Ant Clemens, Inc.
Yeah, and a lot of times,
you know
and it's kind of, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's kind of evident because female rappers and female artists are still using songwriters, when a lot of male artists, it's a stigma around it, and it shows though in the music. The female artists are coming with records and concepts. When it's like the guys are kind of.
I get it though. I get the because there is a stigma that an entire genre was based on. Like it was all based on people
keeping it real,
keeping, you know, like being the
pure
real
lyricist. Yeah,
which is cool. You don't gotta write my verses. Give me a hook. The hook is gonna sell the record at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Give me a nice hook. I'm gonna come in and give you 12 to 16.
But I feel like that producer is different than the Jermaine Dupri producer. Like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like the guy who is with the guys who is pushing the lyrical stuff, and you're supposed to be a rapper.
You're talking more like, this is why Jermaine got Brian Michael Cox in the room with him. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, like there's a difference between B Cox and TNT. But if they work together, but there's no togetherness. Like TNT, I mean, B Cox ain't looking for TNT. And TNT is in a whole different world to where he can't say, "Hey, Summer Walker, come do my whole album."
Yeah, but
I'm gonna come do your whole album.
TNT could pull up on Anisha or something. You know what I mean? It's knowing what's like, knowing what's fresh.
In, though.
Yeah,
you get what I'm saying? Because and I'm using him as an example for his whole group. His whole generation. I'm using that for like all the new internet guys. You know what I'm saying? And I'm using it for, I don't think that those guys have the chops to get into the studio and say, "Hey, here Usher's coming in at 12 noon. And by the time he leaves at 8 p.m. tonight, he should have cut a hit record that he's going to send to his label, and we have delivered."
So where's the fix?
I think it's those guys working together.
So the OG,
you know what I'm saying? I think it's a middle ground.
Listen, I'm gonna be honest.
Those guys moving to like, so Brian Michael Cox might need to step over and say, "Hey, I'm not done producing, but I'm gonna let this guy fill my void, and I'm gonna teach him too, though. And I'm gonna make sure that he knows that I wasn't guessing."
No, I love that. I love that energy. I'm big on
those
OG
older guys
energy.
wasn't guessing, and now we're in the guessing game with these young kids.
And anybody will tell you when I'm into creating a project, or if I get tapped in to help, you know, with a record, I'm always trying to figure out like, yo, where could we bring in an OG? Just to give like that, what you're talking about, like that refinement, like not saying, but bring me back to that sound from 99.
You
like,
did it
you know
as an
what I mean?
engineer though. Because I watched certain things and I seen how you had brung Guru in on one of the Meek albums.
For sure. Championships.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, championships. But that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like, that's engineer to engineer.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? And then you guys came and then you guys build your relationship and you continue on.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't no hate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see that with producers.
Mm.
I either see highway robbery where it's like, hey man, you're a fire young producer. I'm going to sign you to my publishing and I'm going to take all your pub and I'm going to take these 5 hit records that you have that are fire and then I'm going to throw you out. And you got to figure it out. And that's what a lot of these old producers is doing. You know what I'm saying? And I don't, you know what I mean? I don't get that. Like you're part of the problem too. Cause now if I was a young producer, I'd be kind of scared to go up under a new producer.
No, there's a lot of people that, even people that I might court, that this business is very aggressive.
Yeah.
Very cutthroat. There's a lot of lingo that people are just like,
I'm not dealing with
knowledgeable on.
I'm out of it. Yeah.
They're just like, bro, like I'm trying to be creative. I'm trying to build something. And it's hard to, I've let a few people go. I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that guy. I'm not holding you up. If it don't work, if all we do is butt heads, if nothing's being done, if we can't reach a common ground, I'm gonna let you go. We're gonna part ways. We're gonna figure it out. But you know, I think that is a real issue. I think, you know, just how crafty people could be, it really fucks the game up for these younger kids. You know what I'm saying?
It scares the shit out of these young kids. When I talk to them, they almost try to avoid
serious
what
combo.
would be a mentorship.
Yeah.
Or like getting under a person and they don't realize that that's a different game. Like if you, like if will.i.am come and says, hey, I'm gonna sign you as my producer and I'm gonna, you know what I'm saying? That's gonna be scary to a young producer because they feel like they're gonna rob them.
Yeah.
But it's like, it shouldn't be that way.
Yeah.
Because that's how it works. That's what's gonna get you the thing, because will.i.am is getting those calls that he knows, hey bro, I'm too old. I'm living my life. I'm having fun.
Yeah.
Because there's a certain level of tapped inness that music, like you have to be like in tune to a certain degree to really do it. You know what I mean? Like, if you're out of touch, it's ugly for you. You know what I mean?
For sure. So, it's a different time, man. I mean, the game is a little out of whack. You know what I mean? And that's why, you know, we're speaking from a place of being actively in it every day. Yeah. So we have a little bit of like
different insight.
This is different insight, bro. You can't. This is credible information. We're just speaking from our own perspective of how we deal with this. A dirty game, man.
It's a dirty game.
But there are good people. It's just few and far between.
Then there's good people that get corrupted. Yeah. Then there's people that used to be bad, but they might be ready to be good. You know what I mean? It's like you never know where you're at in the thing. You know what I mean? It's a very nuanced industry, I think.
You gotta you gotta get sharp though. You know, like you gotta sharpen your own knowledge on everything. You know what I mean? Like, get educated, bro. There's so many resources nowadays to be educated on things to avoid, things to look out for. Follow your gut. There's times that I was, you know, given the opportunity to work with certain artists, and in my gut, I was like, I don't really know if I want to get in with that artist. I don't know what the vibe, you know, and I do it, and sure enough,
you was like
bad vibe.
You were like,
something was thrown off. And it was like, bro, I should have just followed my gut on it. You know what I mean? I think, you know, that's a real thing. But the biggest thing, bro, is be educated.
I just want people to care about. Me personally, I just feel like as a music creative, I think we should get back to just, when you want to create music, you should either want to create music that you love or that someone's going to love. And I think that should be the basis.
It should start from a pure place. That's why I think
that's just the basics.
Listen, if you're working from that place that I'm talking about of being, you're on your last straw, you know, like you like, damn, bro, I'm desperate.
Yeah.
It's never gonna help anything. Like, you know, you need to figure that out first. Yeah. Don't come in here with your low vibrations, fucking the vibe.
Don't be desperate. Trust me.
Do not be on no desperate shit, bro, because you're never gonna, like, that's not gonna, you know, the outcome of that from a creative perspective. Yeah. It's just not good vibe for you know, for the end goal. Get yourself together. There's nothing wrong. There's this stigma about working, like if you get a little bit of shine or whatever, there's nothing wrong with that. There's so many different things you could do to make money nowadays. There's so many hustles, not obviously not scamming people, like acting like you know how to mix when you don't know how to mix, or
or teaching people how to write
doing
songs,
bullshit collabs when you can't even get your own shit off, or you know what I'm saying? Like there's so many scams you got to be aware of. But I'm saying just get a fucking job, bro. While you're hustling, while you're grinding, get yourself together so you could be in a clear headspace when you're in a session, when you're working.
Like having money coming in is not the end all be all for your music. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes you supplement, like figure out, I got money coming in. Now let me think about my music. You'll probably be in a whole lot better space.
Man, let me tell you something, man. When I was getting it together, when I was taking that plunge into music, I was working 2 and 3 jobs, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's not the story people want to hear, but it's the truth. I worked literally around the clock. I would clock out at one day job, go to the night job, and round the clock. And then when I had a couple days off, I was looking for opportunities, figuring shit out, stacking my chips. So that way I'm not working from that place of, I mean, there's going to be a place as a creative where you're going to hit
know the
that.
Difference. No, you got to know the difference between, hey, I need to do this and grind this out.
Yeah.
Or this is a bullshit opportunity. Like, it's a fine line between that, what he's saying, because I see a lot of people who they so content that they just miss a lot of opportunities.
Right.
So you ain't gonna get nowhere either. So it's like a weird middle ground that you need to be in, where it's like, no, you need to know which opportunities are worth handling, and then there's some that's like, hey, bro, you need to make sure you get yourself together and get a job and make sure this is stuff. Like,
nothing wrong with
and then
that.
and I seen people, man, I seen people go homeless because they think that the further they push themselves to that, then the better they'll be in music, and they'll get there. And that shit don't work either, because it ain't in you. Like,
there's unicorn stories, right? So we're in the age of social media. So you'll get the excerpt of Tyler Perry talking about sleeping in the car, or Neo went homeless.
Or like Uzi said he tatted his face.
Yeah.
And said he had to make it as a rapper with my face tats.
Yeah.
Like, he made it as a rapper.
But you think about those, like,
don't go get a face tat and say you got to make it. It's like, nigga, you might not make it. That's crazy.
But you think about those moments, right, where it's like you're at your lowest. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and we get those excerpts of like Tyler Perry being homeless or Neo, whatever the case. That was their story, right?
Yeah.
And it is a story of hope, but those are unicorn moments, right?
Yeah.
Don't put yourself in a position to be homeless because you're like, well, Neo made it on the other side.
I'm gonna be homeless.
He found the gold at the end of the rainbow.
Like, you'll be surprised at how many people think like that. They think that there's some other thing that's gonna push it out of them.
Yo, listen, if it was meant to be, if you have that, however it happens in God's timing, it'll come to pass. But in the meantime, it's nothing wrong with getting yourself together and working from a place of like, all right, I got some opportunities. I'm hustling. I'm doing certain things, getting myself together. So you're not putting all this pressure on another man. You know what I mean? Like, take accountability for, I'm chasing this opportunity, but I'm not, at what cost? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's the reality. At what cost? It's a fine line, man. It's nuance. I ain't want to get all worked up about the producing shit and be the old head but it's just something dear to my heart, because as an engineer, I never have been a real engineer. I've only been a producer who engineers. So my skill set through producing has allowed me to get all these jobs as being an engineer. And I hate to see how these kids now are treating producing like bullshit, bro. Like they just treat it like it's almost as if it's like, hey, one click here, one click here. Oh, this is a such and such type beat. But it's like, where's your type beat?
Yeah.
You ain't got no type beat.
Yeah,
You're irrelevant.
Bro, look at this as motivation,
That's
man.
just me.
Look at this as motivation.
I could be tripping.
Look at this as motivation. Why is Metro who he is? Why is Take Heat who he is? Why did Hit Kid cut through?
And why are some of the niggas who got places with them invisible? I'm just saying.
That's
just me.
Yeah.
That's just me. I'm just saying, because they sound like them.
Yeah.
Sound like yourself.
Right.
Don't be scared.
Yeah.
That's just me though.
There's a lot of opportunity out here in the production game, man. So just take it, you know, I'm sure this is gonna be controversial. There's nothing we could do to avoid it. Shout out to my guy Gores, who's gonna help us chop this up on the producer culture and rile up rile up the community a little bit. But bro,
shouts out to him.
Step your game. Like, come on, step your game up. Let's go. Let's get this music shit tight. Like, let's get it together. Shout out to Taz. Shout out to Internet Money. You know what I mean? Definitely has some good shit to say about, you know, the perspective of it, right? Like, that was your era. This is our era. But there is still room to address bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to address some bullshit, because if we're just going with the flow and whatever the case, like, where's the... I want people to feel challenged, man. I want you to, like, yo, I want to create some masterful shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know...
Y'all don't even know how to make a record. Y'all just know how to make beats. Like, if you never... Like, that's like a person who played only in the first quarter of every basketball game in their entire life. They've only started the game. They've never finished it. They don't know what happens at the end of the game. The fuck? Like,
they're on the bench.
I don't understand that shit. Like,
they're on the team, but they're on the bench.
Like, that shit is crazy. Like, y'all practice.
It's a lot of room for improvement, bro. A lot of room for improvement. You know, a lot of room for improvement. Challenge yourself. Take some fucking piano lessons.
Make some different shit. Just make something different. On, man. That's fire.
Do something like.
Don't make that different whack shit, because some people get different and that shit just gets boo boo, and then you're like, okay, well, go back to that other shit.
Yeah.
So
listen, we're gonna sign off there.
Because
we're gonna let y'all go ahead and, you know, have your arguments.
We're gonna let
discourse.
It go, man. We just gonna let y'all
leave your feedback in the comments and all that. You know,
I'm not making 1,000 loops for a nigga who is in his bedroom hoping that he puts a drum pattern over these loops, and then it makes no sense. It's the weirdest thing. It's like, and then you hope the masses love it, but the masses don't love it because 7 elements in the track were made for somebody else who helped make the track. All right, y'all.
Hidden hands,
man.
We'll
make better music, man.
We love y'all, man.
Don't make music a caveat.
We love y'all.
It's a sideline caveat.
We love y'all.
Y'all
gonna
have
y'all
music
to win.
that shit gonna be a Verizon ringtone. The fuck out of here.
We want y'all to win, man. All right, peace.